Hey everyone, King Deschain here, and with 2022 behind us, I wanted to take a look back at the games I covered in my first year of making videos. I'll be handing out awards and tallying up how many kills I got and how many times I died in 2022. But first, I just want to thank anyone who gave my videos the time of day. It means a lot that a couple thousand of you like my videos enough to subscribe, and I hope by the end of 2023, I'll be able to thank even more of you. Before we dive in, I want your opinion on something, but want to provide a little context first. I originally intended to launch this channel around Halo Infinite's release until I counted all the kills in combat evolved. Upon realizing I still need to learn how to edit these videos, I felt intimidated by the massive kill count of that game and decided to pivot to another popular franchise that doesn't pile the bodies up in the thousands so early on. That means I have every main Halo game except for Halo Infinite recorded. I also have Control, Kena Bridge of Spirits, the first Mass Effect, and Resident Evil 0 fully recorded. Let me know down below which of these games you want to see released first. Now, on to the awards. After a lot of planning and procrastination, I finally published my first video on May 30th, starting with the Resident Evil remake, which remains the only game on the channel without a single death, making it the only game eligible for the No Death Award. I'm still surprised I pulled that off, considering I was about ready to poop myself whenever a hunter appeared. Somehow my panic didn't mess me up and I succeeded in the no death run. Some of you may note that my Rollerdrome video doesn't have any deaths in it, but that only covered the first level, and I can assure you I died plenty in the later stages of that game. Next up is the Time Sink Award. This goes to the game that took the longest for me to complete. If I did more side content for the video, this would easily go to God of War Ragnarok. But with my focus on the main storyline, it fell 73 minutes short of The Last of Us Part 2, which took a whopping 24 hours and 19 minutes and 2 videos to finish. It's no wonder that game is as emotionally draining as it is. It's a full day of murder and depression, and I love every second of it. Now I want to shout out my least favorite game I covered last year, which was an easy one for me to pick. If you were to wake up one day and decide you wanted to contract the T-Virus, G-Virus, and C-Virus in a cocktail, then top that off with some Plagas and mold, you'd experience an insane fever dream that would still pale in comparison to what Resident Evil 6 gave us. I know this game has its fans, and I love that the Resi series has so much variety in its games. It has something for mostly everyone, and unfortunately for me, Resi 6 just isn't the one. Maybe it'll grow on me when I go back and play the other 3 campaigns. Next is my favorite game, and this one is difficult because I covered some amazing video games on this channel. Resident Evil is filled with bangers. Stray was not only cute, but contained some super interesting lore. A Plague Tale delivered incredible performances and story, and of course I absolutely love the God of War games. It's incredible how they reinvented that series to make both the combat and Kratos feel fresh. However, The Last of Us remains quite possibly my favorite series of all time. For me personally, The Last of Us Part 1 is the pinnacle of storytelling in video games. Please don't botch this, HBO. But The Last of Us Part 2 takes every gameplay element from Part 1 and makes it better. The stealth elements are... When it comes to gauging what makes a game better than another, it will always boil down to the gameplay as the number one factor for me. Admittedly, I didn't have the gripes a lot of people did with Part 2's story structure, so that was never a problem in my eyes. I was just as blown away by it the second time playing it than I was the first time. So my favorite game is going to The Last of Us Part 2, which will probably be a hot take, but that's okay. The best kill had plenty of contenders. A Plague Tale had some momentous kills between Grand Inquisitor Vitalis Benevent and Count Victor de Arles. Resident Evil has some awesome ones, with the obliteration of Nemesis probably being my personal favorite. It ultimately came down to kills in God of War and The Last of Us. On one hand, there's David, a degenerate in the worst sense of the word who gets sliced up by Ellie. It's done off screen, but the weight behind her repeated hits can be felt with each blow. There's also Nora in Part 2. This kill is also done off screen, but the setting, Ellie's rage, and brutal sound effects after each button press drives home the intensity behind her murder. On the other hand, we have some epic freaking kills in God of War. Baldur's death leads us directly to Ragnarok and creates an enemy out of someone that was once our ally. Then there's Hraeslir, who is more along the lines of classic God of War, being a massive creature taken down in absolutely epic fashion. Speaking of epic, Ragnarok had its own fair share of amazing kills. The father-son combo we see upon defeating Valkyrie's Hrist and Mist was awesome, but ultimately, the award is going to that goddamn smug shit-eating son of a bitch Heimdall. He ultimately dies to a simple chokeout, but the moment he grabbed Atreus by the arm on top of the wall, you wanted to kill him. He reinforced that several minutes later after toying with him and constantly insulting him and everyone else except for Odin. Heimdall was one of those Joffrey-like characters you really wanted to see die, and man was it worth it listening to him cry and moan every single time Kratos hit him, especially when he showed pity on him and tried to spare his life, ensuring his spot in Kratos' long list of godly kills. Next up is the best death that took no time for me to choose because the Callisto Protocol is chock full of insane death animations. Many I never actually experienced during the game. If you haven't already, I suggest watching some death compilations if you want a dose of nightmare fuel. I'll go ahead and leave one down in the description below. The blatant, disrespectful brutality of this death still lives rent-free in my head. The biophage beating on Jacob and pulling his head apart by the mouth is so over the top, it was an easy choice for best death. The next award goes to the game with the most kills. If there is a way to count every single rat individually, I think the Plague Tale games would come away with this one easily. But there isn't, so God of War Ragnarok takes this one by beating out Resident Evil 4 by 180 kills. I wonder what game next year will topple the current kill champion. The final award goes to the character that tallied up the most kills. Leon Kennedy put up a damn good fight with roughly 76% of his 1,295 kills coming in Resident Evil 4. But of course this is going to the God of War. Subtracting Atreus' kill total from Ragnarok, Kratos actually killed less in that game than he did in God of War 2018. Once combined, those two together crowns him as our kill champion of 2022 with a grand total of 1,592 kills. Boy, that's nearly 10% of Sparta's modern population. I intend to play through the original games including his 2 PSP adventures, so I'm looking forward to revisiting his total kill number once that is all said and done. That concludes the awards, but to cap this video off, I can't let you guys go without seeing the total stats on the whole year. I finished 2022 out with a total of 7,871 kills and came away with 148 deaths. That brings my total kill-death ratio to a respectable 53.2. I spent 183 hours and 37 minutes playing games for the channel this year, which gives us a kill on average every 1.4 minutes and a death every 74.4 minutes. I'm having so much fun making these videos, and I hope you're enjoying them as much as I do making them. Keep an eye out for my Resident Evil 7 kill count coming right around the corner, and I'll see you there. I'm King Deschain, signing off for now.